week, 11th week. Finally, after 12 weeks, Brother Reynolds cried, he and his wife, until there were no more tears. And they could not take it anymore. Brother Reynolds went into that little church building there in Alabama City, Alabama. And he walked down the aisle, the center aisle of the church, and he knelt in what we used to call a mourner's bench. They were altars that were in the front. And the only light that was in that church at that point that was on was the one right above the altar. And he took his Bible and he opened it up and he put it on the altar. You guessed it. This story in 1 Samuel chapter 30. And he laid it down. And he said, Lord, I would go, but I don't know where to go. I would pursue, but I don't know where to start. Lord, please, where's my daughter? I don't have anyone else to go to. Where is my daughter? All of a sudden that day, the Lord spoke to him and said, call Kentucky Fried Chicken, and gave him the country to call in Europe, in Barcelona, Spain. Well, he'd been fasting for so long. And so when he heard, well, this was before the day of globalization. This was before the day companies would spread all over the world. And so he was in that little altar there in Alabama City, Alabama, and he heard call Kentucky Fried Chicken in Barcelona, Spain. He thought, and he just went back to pray. But it became so strong. He thought, what do I have to lose? So he walked right up the center aisle, walked out into the vestibule, came into the study of the pastor's office. He picked up the rotary phone. And he put his finger in the zero and spun it around. An operator came on. I would like to make a person-to-person call. Person-to-person calls are the kind of calls that we used to make many years ago. When we were going to call long distance. When we were calling for a specific person. And if that person did not answer or they could not find them, then we wouldn't have to pay for the call. So we called it a person-to-person call. I would like to make a person-to-person call to Robert Reynolds at Kentucky Fried Chicken in Barcelona, Spain. All right, sir. What is the number? I don't know. Well, what is the address? I don't know. Sir, is there even a Kentucky Fried Chicken in Barcelona, Spain? Maybe. Hold, please. Amazingly, the operator had patience. And what seemed to him like an eternity. Finally, she came back on the line. And she said, just a moment. And in the distance was that weird ringing. Like it was ringing in another country. And it just so happens that the person that answered the phone in Barcelona, Spain could speak English. And they picked up the phone and said, Kentucky Fried Chicken. I have a person-to-person call for Rhonda Reynolds. Is there a Rhonda Reynolds there at your restaurant? Hold, please. And put his hand over the receiver. Rhonda Reynolds? They could hear it. Rhonda Reynolds! Rhonda Reynolds! Sir, I don't. And then all of a sudden he stopped. Well, just a moment, let me see. And he pulled out the phone that was attached to a cord as far as he could go, opened up the door of his restaurant into the sidewalk where people were passing by in front of his store and said, Rhonda Reynolds! And all of a sudden there was a group of people that stopped. And there was a young lady that looked back and said, I'm Rhonda Reynolds. There's a phone call for you. And there, in Barcelona, Spain, Rhonda Reynolds went back into that Kentucky Fried Chicken and picked up the phone. And there, over the phone, a father and a daughter were reunited. But more importantly, before the call ended, a heavenly father and a daughter were reunited. She eventually was able to get money and was able to come home. She's gone on to live a beautiful and a wonderful life. The same God who was able to tell a grieving parent in Alabama City, Alabama, to call Kentucky Fried Chicken and